So this week I also did an extension of my Hockney research, just learning more about his perspective, which Jessie, my tutor, gave me. She sent me this article and I had a little read through it, and I was just learning about like morphing the viewer's perspective and playing and seeing something differently in the eyes of the artist. So like Hockney, he just imagines landscapes completely differently to anybody else, and I feel like this is what I'm similar to as well, and I want to do this as an artist. And I learned about how he used like impressionism, fauvism, and how I just thought it was really good when they talk about him using like digital art, and he's just constantly moving with the times and being so versatile with his media. And because I want to work on wood, I'm trying to think of other materials I can work with and be as versatile as Hockney. And I just think like learning about his boldness and playing with the viewer and the enjoyment of making is seen through his art, and I feel like it's very experimental and fun, which is exactly what my art I want to replicate. So as part of this week's research, on Wednesday I spoke to Sinead, my sculpture teacher, and she introduced me to Freya Douglas Morris. So she explores memory and alienation, and she just wants to burrow the viewer deeper into each scene. And I love her distorted sense of scale, and you can see why it's quite childlike nostalgia, because it's like she talks about everything seeming too large or intangible, so like everything's been morphed around you to like this magical paradise of these places, and how we remember things is so different to how they actually are. But I love the amorphous of, and this like sense of dreamy fantastical nostalgia, like this walking into the water and the whirlpools, and it just feels like you're in a memory, and like your vision is blurring reality. But I just absolutely love it, and I love all her pattern and mark making, and it does remind me of Hockney. This is why I particularly liked her, and I didn't know any of what she intended to do before I found her. I just based it purely on her paintings, and she just used like these abstracted glowing colours, but there's like dark colours and bright colours, and it just shows how we can use bright and light colours, bright colours and dark colours, and how they can be informed and look more enriched than just really bright colours, and we can use a mixture of this. I love her abstracted depiction of nature, and this is what I want to replicate in my own work. And she's just another artist to add to Hockney and Picasso, because at the moment those are the three that are really inspiring my work. So in half term I thought it was really important to look at John Constable, because I've now kind of, in my proposal, when writing my proposal, me and Jessie found that maybe just focusing on one place instead of a lot. So I've narrowed it down to Hampstead Heath, as this is where I go for sanctuary, I go for walks. It's very important. It's always in my family. My dad works in the school there, my sister went to school right by it, and it's just like a really important place to me and my family, and all my family have lived next to Hampstead in Kentish Town, and it's basically a place where if I'm stuck inside all day, or me and my family just want to get out, we say let's go, jump in the car and go to the Heath. So I thought I want to find someone who did the Heath and had this like same obsession with the Heath that I did. So I found John Constable, and he actually lived by the Heath. So part of the year he spent with his family, and he would go out and just sketch on the grounds, observing the changing weather conditions, and this is what he loved so much. And you can really see it in his paintings, this you see you've got like the dark cloud, the blue sky, and then the sunset coming in over the horizon, and then you've got like the dark clouds with the light cloud with a bit of blue, and it's exactly what Hampstead is like. It's constantly changing. You can be, when I went there a couple of weeks ago, you were literally there and it was cold, and then the next minute it was just sunny, and it was just complete turnover and change. But I just love his animated brushwork and the freeness of it, and it really reminds me of like the movement of Hampstead, and you feel like immersed. You're there, you're in Hampstead in his paintings. And I love how he like dated his sketches, and I thought that'd be a good idea for me as well, to date my work and like date when I've been and date what the pictures are. And I just love like the changing weather and the moodiness of it, and I love how he uses bright colours and dull colours, and colours that I never thought to use before. For example, like this lime green, but it just sits so well, and it's exactly what Hampstead is like. And he uses that, but he's like dark colours, so it doesn't feel out of place. It just feels like moody weathering conditions. And then I did more on him as well, so I was just looking at all his paintings that from the Royal Academy collection. And like Constable, I actually did go to Hampstead Heath and sketched one day, observing the compositions, lines and shapes in the trees, and I brought these back to the studio and painted them. And as you saw on like the wood, I came back and worked on these from pictures and my sketches, and just playing with, I think moving forward, just playing with pattern and distortion and abstracting the real, because ultimately I want to create abstract art, not realism like Constable. But I appreciate his observing and his love of Hampstead and the way he presents and uses colours and brushwork. And then I also thought, because this is a house that I pass quite often in Hampstead, it's the Keats house, which is near the mixed pond. It's just up from the mixed pond, and his last poem was about Hampstead, and it's this like very long poem about Hampstead changing from autumn to summer and to winter, and yeah, it's just like this change from summer to autumn. And I love like reading the poems and finding inspiration. So like birds singing, the rosy hue sky, and explaining the sunset and sunrise there, and the insects and animals, the bird sounds, and it's given me ideas to use perhaps audio in my work, the bird sounds, and actually being immersed in a place is not only the painting 2D but also the audio aspect, which I could add.